hello, everyone. Welcome to the Healing Train. I am B.Von Squires, your coach, otherwise your conductor. Here on the Healing Train, we have passengers, ordinary people, okay? Ordinary people with extraordinary stories. And today we have a passenger by the name of Pearl Futrell. She is an amazing individual who has gone through a heck of a lot in her lifetime. She's going to come on here and she's going to talk to you about the trauma that she has sustained. And then we're going to move on through all the 4 phases. But until then, let's go on right now and have Pearl come on and say hello to the community. Pearl, can you please come on and introduce yourself to everyone?
Hello, everyone. My name is Pearl Futrell, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Pearl, for taking the opportunity to come here and bare your soul for us. You are very courageous. And I tell you what, trauma is not something that's easy to talk about. There are twists and turns and ups and downs along the way. But I do know that there is healing after trauma. And so that's what we're going to show you today. Today, we're going to talk about my book. I wrote a book and it's called The Energy Harvest, a spiritual model for the enhancement of your life. It's a 4 phase trauma healing process that begins with identifying the trauma. And then we're going to look into the mindset that we had to develop in order to heal from the trauma. And then Pearl's going to talk to us all about the wonderful things that she's been able to achieve. Even though healing still needs to take place, there has been a lot of healing that has happened in her life. So she's going to share all about those wonderful achievements. And then we're going to wrap it up with how she sustains that wonderful positive attitude, ups and downs and twists and turns along the way. She stays positive and she's going to tell us how she does that. So for now, we're going to just jump right on in and talk to Miss Pearl Futrell. Thank you so much again, Pearl, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes, most definitely. I believe that it's once we go through things and we get to the other side of them, I almost feel like it's our responsibility to reach back and show other people that they can get through it too. And that's why
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm so honored and blessed to have this platform where people like you, courageous people like you, can come on and help other people understand that yes, trauma does happen and it is not going to kill you, but you will get through it. And so, will you please help us understand the identify phase and how you were able to identify the trauma you're going to talk about today?
It took me many years to identify the trauma. Like, I didn't realize that it was trauma. Like, I didn't know that the reason why I started having children at such a young age and felt out of place, and which eventually led me to being a drug addict. I didn't realize that it was trauma until I went to prison and went to group therapy. And group therapy brought up all these emotions. And that's when I realized, oh wow, this trauma started way before my drug addiction. It started when I was a child. And
Ooh,
so it brought back a lot of things that was hard for me to deal with, but I got through it.
yes, yes. Okay, so you want to give us a little background and tell us about the trauma that you
Okay.
want to talk about?
So I was born to uneducated, poor family, and I'm not downgrading them by no means. They couldn't help it. I love them, and it is what it is. But as a small child, my mother wasn't the greatest mother, and I have forgiven her. But my dad's brother was molesting me, and as far as I can remember back, it started at age 3. I remember coming home with blood in my panties, and my mom and my dad was upset, but he lied and said I fell on a bike. But it continued to happen, and nobody ever did anything to protect me. Um, and so I lived with that and never told anybody. I kept it quiet for many, many years. And matter of fact, I was almost 40 before I ever told anybody. But as a result of that, I was a very sexual child. I had sex at a young age with, other than him, like with my first partner, I ended up getting pregnant the first time I had sex, and had a baby one day after I turned 14 years old. By the time I was 19, I had 4 kids, and I married the man, and me and him are good friends now. But he was very abusive in the relationship that we were in. And he, like I said, he's told me he's sorry. We're good. We're good friends now. So I had 4 kids by the time I was 19. I did eventually leave him, and I got with the second man that I married, and we wanted to have children of our own. He accepted the 4 children, just like they were his. He loved them kids, and them kids loved him. And so we decided to have a child of our own, and I carried her 9 months, and she was born dead.
Oh,
Her umbilical cord was wrapped around her throat several times in her body, and so that was just devastating to me.
yeah.
So that was another thing that I went through. And then that happened in 2004, June of 2004. And then of 2005, my oldest daughter, which was now 11, was diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh my.
And so she's in remission now, but it was a lot that we went through, a lot that no parent should have to watch their child go through, nor any child should have to go through. But it happened, and I had a healthy baby in 2006, and I got pregnant again, and I carried that baby 9 months, and she died.
Mm, mm, mm.
So when that baby died, I went over the edge. I didn't think I could come back from that.
Ooh,
I'd done as a child, I had been through so much that I didn't at the time I did not even realize that was trauma. To me, that was normal.
oh my goodness, Pearl. Oh my Lord. I can only imagine how you must have been feeling. I mean, this was your second baby that was stillborn.
Yeah, the amniotic fluid had all leaked out, and they I went to the doctor because I wasn't feeling her move, and turns out she was dead. And I was 9 months. Like, I carried her 9 months too. So she was, and these babies were born perfectly, like, look like little angels, perfect little
Mm,
angels. And so I lost it. I didn't know how to come back from that. So about a year after that happened, I was the type of person that kept a very clean house. I didn't like a messy house, and I was still cleaning, but I was having to force myself. I didn't enjoy it no more. I enjoyed being a mother. I enjoyed cleaning house. I enjoyed being a wife. I enjoyed all that. I didn't enjoy cleaning anymore. So somebody said, try a little bit of this OxyContin, and that'll give you the energy you need. And it did. In the beginning, I didn't know it. I'd never smoked cigarettes. I'd never smoked weed. I'd never experimented with drugs. All I knew was how to be a mother and a wife,
yeah.
because I had been one since I was 14 years old. And so I tried that drug, and I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning scrubbing the walls, scrubbing the blinds, and I thought, wow, this is a miracle. And they were actually the daughter that had cancer, they were her pills, and she wasn't taking them because she didn't like the way they made her feel.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my husband at the time, well, when I tried it, he tried it, and he thought, wow. And he said, next month we're going to keep 10 of those. And it went from 10 to 20 to the whole script. And eventually we started cooking methamphetamine outside our house and on the property outside our house.
Wow.
And then we were using that, and it spiraled out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up getting in some trouble. Um, we both were incarcerated, and we got put on paper. I got 8 years and he got 9 years community correction. I mean, 10 years community corrections. And I couldn't quit using. I couldn't stop. And by this time, it's done led to heroin and the needle, because heroin was cheaper than pills. And so I overdosed multiple times in front of my children. Um, I was put in the hospital for overdosing. And each time, I wasn't suicidal, but I didn't want to live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, each time that I was revived, I was so mad. I couldn't understand. Like, I have no quality of life.
Yeah.
This is the life that I'm living. Why can't y'all just let me go? Let me go. And of course, they couldn't understand why I couldn't just quit.
Sure.
So I violated the first time and did a year, and they kicked me back out on the community corrections. Um, I started using again, and within a year, I violated again. And this time they put my sentence in effect, which means I was going to be shipped to prison. So I did a year in the county jail, still using every chance I got. Every chance that drugs would come in, I would use. I didn't know how to stop.
Mm.
Um, so when I got shipped to prison, we had some drugs with us. And drugs are plentiful in prison. I could have continued to use every day if I wanted to, but I was so sick and tired of myself.
Mm.
By this time, I was shipped so far away, I knew I wasn't going to get visits from my children. And that was hard for me. And I was just like, I can't keep going like this. I can't. And so after the drugs that we had was gone, I remember getting on that top bunk and I said, God, if you please just deliver me from this, I'll deliver whatever message you need me to deliver. And I've not looked back. And that was September 18th, 2017. I've been clean since that day.
Wow.
And there was drugs all around me, and I just kept getting the strength to say no. I just got cold chills telling you that. Like,
Wow.
every time I said no, I felt powerful. Like,
Mm.
and it just that quick. It happened that quick. And a lot of people may not believe that, but that's what God did for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say that I didn't struggle, because there was times where I would see people really high hanging off their bunks, and even had a friend live in the cell with me doing it. And it it wasn't easy, but I just knew this is what I had to do. I had to keep going. And every single time I said no, I felt more powerful. And then it got to the point where I was going up for parole, so I was really nervous, and I'd done quite a bit of time, and I'm like, I should get parole, because I was denied my first parole and they put me off 18 months. And so this was my second time. And so they told me that I would get parole upon the completion of group therapy. Now, mind you, I had never had any kind of treatment, no kind of therapy, nothing. And so I was so mad. I was just cussing and like, I've done this time, and like, I'm trying to stay clean now. And like, I was just so upset. Why did they make me want to do this group therapy? But that was the only way I was going to make pro, and it was a 6-week program. So I thought, I got to be stuck here another 6 weeks. But I'm thankful that I did, because that's where I discovered my trauma in group therapy. So I went to group therapy, and everybody hated group therapy, but I would go in there every day with just bubbly, like a ray of sunshine. And everybody was looking at me like I was crazy, but I don't know. It was something about group therapy that made me feel so comfortable. I could be myself. The teacher even told me she wished she could bottle me up and put me in with everybody. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened. And so I was thankful, and all I did 3 years, and I was thankful that I did those 3 years. And I was thankful that the parole board put me off until I completed group therapy, because it was almost like I blocked the sexual abuse out of my head. Like, put it away to where I didn't even know that it would happen. People would be talking to me about being molested, and I'm like, I can't relate. But really, I could. I just blocked it. But
Ooh.
group therapy brought all that back. I had to
Mm.
relive it, but I healed. I healed from it.
Wow, Pearl.
And I forgive him. He did die while I was in prison. I never got the chance to confront him, but I do forgive him.
Sure, sure. I'm going to stop us right here from right now, because this what you are so courageous to come here and talk about in great detail, talk about your life and where you went, from the trauma that you had, having the baby so early in life, 4 children by the time you're 19. You held it in till you were 40 that you were ever even molested. And having stillborn babe, two, not just one, but two, talking about how you used and OD'd in front of your children. These are not easy things to admit.
No,
You
it's
you are
not.
a very strong woman, and I thank you for coming here and being so transparent and being so authentic, because see, there's a woman out here that thinks her life is over because she's got 4 kids by the time she's 19.
Yeah.
She thinks her life is over because she has to go and do some jail time and then maybe even prison time. What you're showing us today, you are such a great example You're such a great example, number one, of what God can do for your life. He delivered you from wanting to use drugs after being a drug addict for years. I'm
Hmm.
talking, he gave you the strength and the power to say no. And then not only that, you felt so empowered every time you said no, and learn to have some gratitude for your situation. Wow, that is just so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And so as we continue to move forward, we know that you had to adopt a new mindset in
Oh
order
yeah.
in order to deal with all of this. You had to have a new mindset in order to heal and move forward. Can you tell us what that was like to adopt a new mindset? And what was that mindset? What was it that kept you saying no? What was it that kept you wanting to get better and then actually moving into the action to get better?
Well, I mean, like I said, I was born into a poor, uneducated family. So the way we grew up, everything was swept under the rug. There was just certain things that you didn't talk about,
Yes.
and I guess some could, I don't want to label people, but I guess I was considered white trash, to be honest. And people had probably already doomed me for failure, and because I was pregnant at such a young age. But I did take care of my children. But so I had to learn that the way that I grew up was not the right way. Like, I'm not going to be one of those parents to sweep things under the rug. I'm not. It was hard because whenever I did confront my mother about the things that had happened to me after I got out of prison, I told her that I didn't know anybody knew. I told her I wanted to talk to her, and she said okay. And I said I was molested as a little girl by my uncle. And she looked me dead in my eyes and said, I know. And that also took me back, like
Wow.
I was devastated. So for one, I had to learn not to be that type of person. I will never be that type of person. I had to learn that you got to work for things. You got to believe, you got to have faith, and be kind and be honest. And those were things that I didn't grow up with.
Sure. Wow. Now for me, when I think about the mindset that I had to adopt in order to heal, is I used to think that I wasn't worthy of healing. I used to think that I wasn't worthy of having a good life, and that they must have been right when they were saying I was nothing, that I was never going to be nothing. They must have been right, you know. So thinking they were right for so many years,
Yeah.
finally I was just like, they couldn't have been right. There's something inside of me that tells me they weren't right. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I had that good and evil conflict going on inside of me, but I wanted it so bad. I wanted to be worthy. I wanted to look at myself in the mirror and be proud of myself. I wanted to show everybody that yes, I can be something wonderful. That's how it all started. But then it became, for me, then it became, I want to show everybody what is possible for their lives. I want to show everybody that you can be abused as a child, that you can grow up as a teenager and become promiscuous and a runaway, that you can run off to the Navy and have 300 partners in 3 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you can do all of these things, that you can ruin your life, but God can come back and give you another chance. See, I didn't realize that all of that was leading me to who I was supposed to be. All of that was leading me to the story and the testimony that God was building inside of me, from trauma to triumph. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There has to be some trauma in there to get to the triumph. There's got to be
Absolutely.
struggles to get to the success. And so I didn't realize that my life was just being built for a time such as this. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
And just
I
like,
say I say all the time that failure and success go hand in hand. I couldn't be who I am today had I not done all that, been through all that. Am I proud of a lot of the things I've done? No, but I love who I am today. I love
yes,
me.
yes,
And God said to me, "Who do you think you are? You are a daughter of a king."
I
What makes
know
you think that you're not worthy?
I know
So
that's right. I love it. I just love it. And as we continue to move on, thinking about that mindset, I had to definitely develop a mindset of forgiveness. And
mhm,
what I'm learning is that forgiveness comes in waves and layers. You know what I'm saying? I might get triggered by some traumatic experience and have to forgive all over again because I'm just so angry, but
mhm.
that doesn't happen as often anymore. But you never know when you're going to be triggered. You just never know.
No,
You just never know. And so that's the nerve-wracking part, is knowing that a trigger is right around the corner and not knowing when it's going to come or how it's going to make you feel. But the beauty of it is we've been through this before. The triggers came before, we made it through it, and we continue to make it through it no matter what.
absolutely.
And so now I'm going to ask you about your about your process. Like, do you have a routine that helps you to achieve success? Like, how were you able to achieve success once you obtain the healing over the process? How were you able to then achieve success? Can you tell us about any of that?
Well, it started with God, and I lean a lot on God. I couldn't do any of it without God. But then I had to clean up my circle. I couldn't go back out and keep the same people in my life that I had, because those people are people I used with. My husband at the time, we were together for 18 years, and we were so toxic, like, and we get along now, but we're not together anymore. But we did a lot of drugs together. His family supplied us with the drugs, and I knew that I had to escape my whole circle. I didn't care who it was. I even cut my brother off a time or two, but he's doing well now, so I'm glad. But you have to cut people out of your life. And then you start surrounding yourself with people that have goals, people
Mm,
that know more than you,
mhm.
because you don't know everything. And a lot of us like to think we do, but we don't.
No.
And you have to be teachable. You have to stay teachable, because if you don't stay teachable, you're not going to make it.
Oh my goodness, those are really great suggestions. Number one, clean up your circle. Make sure that the people that are in your life are the kind of people that you want to be. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because guess what? They tell us that the five people that we hang out with the most, we're going to be the cumulative, components of all five of those people. And so make sure that the people that you're hanging with are people you want to be like, because you will be like them, right?
Yeah.
Like they say,
Absolutely.
birds of a feather flock together. Though
Absolutely.
that's a cliche, but it's true. It's very true. So clean up your circle, right? Make sure you have some goals. Make sure you're not the smartest one in your circle, because
No, you need smarter people in your circle.
I love that one. I really love that one. And just to keep a positive attitude. And I'm just really excited about that part too.
Yeah.
Now, as we continue to move on, I just want to, before we move on any further, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you, how
Thank
proud
you.
I am of the person that you are today, because I know that was not easy. I know that it was not easy to go through all of that. Oh my goodness, to wish you were dead on a daily basis, but too scared to kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? And not knowing how not to use, how not to destroy your life. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for the people that He brings into our lives. And so I just want to thank you for coming on here and being so transparent with your story, just letting us see exactly what the deal is. So thank you so much for that.
Thank
So
you
proud
for
of you.
having me.
Yes, so proud of you. And so now, as we move on to the final phase, we're going to talk about sustaining all of that wonderful momentum, all of that growth that you have achieved over the years, all of that great perspective that you've been able to learn. How do you continue to stay positive? How do you continue day after day, ups and downs and twists and turns along the way? How do you stay positive, bro?
Well, I'm not going to say that I don't have bad days, because I do have some bad days, but they're nowhere near as the bad days that I had in active addiction, it was horrible. The good days I had in active addiction was horrible. So my days today, when they're bad, it don't last long. It comes in waves. I lean on God and my support system, my children, my grown children, the 4 children I had when I was a child. Those are my support system. And I have a lot of good people surrounded me that God has put in my life that is smarter than me, that has more clean time than me, and I want to sit next to a person that knows more than me. I want to watch that person. I want to learn. And that's what it keeps me going. It keeps me positive. I wake up and I say affirmations to myself. I talk to myself in a mirror, and people may think I'm crazy for that, but no, it works. I promise you, it works. And I love that about myself, and I love the woman I have become.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh, I tell you what, it's for me, it's like the gratitude that I have today is so strong and so huge because of the depths that God brought me from. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's easy for people to think, oh, she's got a good job. She's always had a good life. But no,
Hmm.
no, that's not the truth. You know what I'm saying? This is all as a result of God coming in my life and helping me, giving me the power and the intellect, the insight to change and to heal and to grow. And then gave me this wonderful book to help other people walk through their process like I walked through mine. And then he gave me this platform where we could put it all together and have wonderful people come on because you know what? They don't want to always hear from me because I have my trauma, but everyone that comes on here has a different trauma. And you speak
Right.
to a different part of the audience. And I'm just so grateful. I feel so honored to have this platform and to be able to meet such wonderful people like you, Pearl. Keep up the great work. Keep that smile on your face. I'm telling you, sharing your story today helped people. Somebody, everybody who watched this episode is going to take away the fact that you can go through something, you can heal through it, and then you can thrive as a result of the healing. So, thank you again so much. Now, is there anything that you'd like to, words of wisdom or anything you'd like to just give the audience before you leave?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that don't ever think that you're too far gone to be saved, because I used to think that about myself, and you're not. God can pull everybody out of hell, and and it's worth it. It is worth it. Um, don't think that you're a complete failure. You can start over at 50 if you choose to, or 90. It doesn't matter. Um, and I'm just thankful to be alive today. I'm thankful for the relationships that God restored for me. I um, I have a healthy relationship for the first time ever in my life. I have custody back of my children. Nobody thought that I could do that because I had child charges, neglect charges from my meth lab. So don't ever let anybody count you out, because if they're counting you out, they don't know how to count.
I love that. Well, thank you again so much. Guys, we have had an amazing day today on this episode with Pearl Futrell. And I tell you what, you, I'm sure, have been blessed by everything that she has to say today. And I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe to the channel that actually brings us the healing train right there on my YouTube at Coach B.Von 6096. All right, guys, until next week, we're going to say take care. We're going to say if there's something that you're manifesting for, keep up the great work. Stay positive because that thing that you're manifesting for is coming right to you. And so we'll look forward to seeing you next time here on the Healing Train. All right, guys. Goodbye. Love you.